Hello and welcome to Data Planet. I'm Emma Davis, and today's guest is Brandon Painter, Senior Director of Growth Strategy and Operations at Retrochem. Welcome to the show, Brandon.
Thanks, Emma. Happy to be here.
All right, so we're at kind of an interesting point for you at Retrochem. To start, tell us, who is Retrochem? What do you guys do, and who are your customers?
Sure. So Retrochem is a consortium of brands. It's Retrochem Inc. We are a smaller company. We do about 2 million in revenue annually, at least right now. But the way that we're structured is a little bit more like a holding co, which is not your typical small business structure, but it's my dad's company, and he's been in the field and working on things across the city for about the last 15, 20 years. And so as he has been taking different solutions to market, he's realized that, it's a lot easier to have different pillars of service that we can take to different audience segments instead of just blanketing, everything with we are Retrochem and having to have those conversations where it's like, okay, so are you jack of all trades, master of none, or what is the situation? So we have four divisions. One is Retro Pros, which is our service division. So anything as far as architectural hard surfaces are concerned, if you can, what my dad likes to say is, if you can knock on it or tap on it, then we can replicate it, repair it, restore it, or refinish it. So that's your VCT, your stone, terrazzo, concrete, things like that, wood. And then we have Plaster Dynamics, which was an acquisition of ours. Formerly, it was Plaster Craft, but Brad Bruce now oversees our historical preservation division. So based on kind of that title, you can probably guess what he does. He focuses on the crown moldings and the architectural foam and some of those more ornate finishes, which a lot of what we get when we're doing any kind of historical work. And then we have Retro Shine, which is kind of a yet to be launched distribution arm that takes all of the learnings and the chemicals and proprietary solutions that we've come up with in the field that have been, battle tested, if you will. We help others on a national scale leverage those solutions in their own markets. And then lastly is kind of our little fun outside the box catch-all called Jubio Design, which was the first thing that him and I started working on together about 2 years ago. We basically just wanted to create handmade furniture together in the garage, and it became kind of its own beast. So now it has been rolled up and underneath what is Retrochem. So
All right, so a lot going on there. Has this been like a company that you grew up with? Because you haven't been with the company very long.
correct.
Okay. All right. But how long has it been part of your life?
I've been on job sites since I was 13. So I joined on April 1st, actually. And so it's been about a month, but I've been helping in a variety of capacities, since I was little, a teenager. And then after graduating college, that's been kind of an interesting journey of mine the last 12 years, but various layoffs, various periods of unemployment. I was doing some different project work for him that usually focused on the marketing side, but I've been made pretty comfortable with this type of business over the last 20 years or so. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. So coming in there as both someone with experience in the agency world, in the brand world, coming into a company that you are very familiar with and personally attached to, and we won't detail all of your different experiences, but you've seen some stuff. So what are your first priorities starting in this new organization?
Sure. I'm doing a lot of brand strategy work. So, I know here in a little bit, we'll get into some of the fundamentals or what I think, need to be fundamentals before you start doing any kind of paid marketing. But brand strategy at the core, coming in and doing a competitive analysis of the landscape, looking at how they have talked about themselves and the solutions that they provide over the last 20 years, how our competitors speak about themselves, taking a closer look at the pricing and the structure of the internal organization. So I have a lot of experience, like you mentioned, across a wide range of things, companies of all shapes and sizes, companies as small as 10 people, companies as big as 40,000 people. And I had various roles in those organizations. And so basically, I'm serving as his right hand man at this
Hmm.
point. So, helping to plug holes and mature certain processes that he may not have had the bandwidth to spend time on at any given moment. And then implementing a lot of that marketing stuff as well, which is where that brand strategy work is starting.
Nice. Okay, cool. And that is a nice segue. You alluded to we have something planned for this episode, something we haven't done yet. And this was really spawned from one of our first things that we bonded over, which is agreeing that companies are often too quick to paid digital, that it can be a huge waste of spend, a huge brand killer. Like it's really high risk to do it before you're ready as a company. So, and my background is specifically in paid. I've been working at the same paid digital agency for the last 12 years. So I'm often the hammer salesperson saying like, that's not a nail. Don't use a hammer for that. You need to wait. So our activity is I asked you what are the top 3 things you need to already have in place before you launch paid digital. And you and I both answered this question, wrote out our answers,
We
and now
did.
we're going to see, is this the definitive list? Yeah, there's no debate. These are the things you need to have in place, or is there going to be some debate? So, um thank you for playing this game with me. I'd love to hear what your first well, first of all, what was your reaction to getting this question?
It's a great question because I think, you alluded to it in our intro call. One of the things that I talked about is at different organizations, they were all in various stages of some of it was an identity crisis, some of it was, they thought that paid was their silver bullet. Just a whole lot of different thoughts or schools of thought around paid. And so you being who you are and the organization that you represent, having this conversation. But anyway, so my answers, if I'm going to distill it down to 3, it's a proven offer. So, you know, you got to know that what you're selling is something that people are willing to buy.
Mhm.
Um,
And how do you prove that? What is the proven?
Part of that is the brand strategy work that I'm starting with.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
focus groups and doing a lot of analysis just informally and formally to figure out if there's product market fit. The good thing about the organization that I'm in right now is that product market fit has existed for 2 decades, so it's pretty set in stone, no pun intended. But still, if we're not doing anything different, then others are going to catch up to us, which they have over the last 3 to 5 years. And so, with a changing of the guard or with, some updated technology and things of that sort, making sure that we can stay relevant. The other thing is a conversion ready destination. So a lot of the work that I did in my prior organization for that year-long tenure was looking at what already existed, the different channels, the places that we were driving folks to, and deciding if that was a good experience for them, once they landed there, once they started doing their own research, once we had driven them to the place that we were pointing them to, were we giving them the right information? Were we making it intriguing? Do we have the forms ready for them? Do we have, was it something where we had industry specific landing pages that were built? They didn't, but we did get those set up. Was it solutions forward landing pages so that we can capture a different level of intent, instead of just looking at the demographics or the firmographics and saying, we're going to create a solutions page for education? It's like, okay, well, do we want to dive in a little bit deeper? Because, for our data management offering, kind of getting into the weeds of the BPO stuff, but this is how I was thinking about it. For data management, you might end up having a conversation with a CIO or a CTO, who cares more about the security and all of the different things that we touted for those folks. Whereas, customer support leader might not care as much about the integrity of the data and where we have it stored and who has access and that type of thing. So making sure that we are speaking to the right people on the right channels. And then the last thing is just making sure that we've got reporting and things set up so that once we do the legwork to get people to those places, then we can pay attention and see if the work we put in is successful, if there's still gaps in that funnel. Are they continually hitting one place? And then after that, after they start to consider if this is something they want, do they fall off? Like, is that our exit point? Those types of things. So those three things with a lot of
Okay.
work vomit in between.
Yeah. Okay. So the weird thing is, we have come up with a definitive guide to what you need to have in place before launching paid digital. Like slight variations, but I said a product or service people want. And the way you know that people want it is you have existing customers to prove it.
There we go.
Um, a conversion focused website. So I'm a little less concerned with, do you have, like, what you were talking about sounded to me kind of like personalized experiences or experiences that can really speak to individual segments. I'd say if you have that, one of the most critical things is to have the ability to self segment. So if
Yeah.
you're spending a lot on paid digital channels where people may not be clicking on your ad, but may be learning about you and then coming in later, and you have a tailored experience for that audience, and it might be different from, for the CIO or CTO versus the CFO, then make it super easy for them to figure out how to find the thing that you made for them. Um, but in general, like conversion optimization is all about just ease and clarity. Like the reduction of friction, the less work people have to do to find their way and to even think about the fact that they're finding their way, just like, oh yeah, this was put here just for me. Like if you don't have that and you launch Pay Digital, it's going to fail immediately. Pay Digital doesn't work right away. You need to like start and build and chip away and learn and test. And if you don't have a conversion focused website or landing pages, you're immediately just going to feel it like, oh, there's nothing working right now. And so just don't even try it without that in place. Um, and then the last one for me was clean sales and marketing data infrastructure, which I think aligns pretty well with your third one as well. Just like you need to have those customers. You also need to be able to see, like, who are they? What do you know about those customers? When you launch new channels, do you have attribution data you can use? Is the sales team ready to take on some of those leads, or are you going to be spending a bunch of money on leads that then are going to just like sit there and rot while your sales team is busy, I don't know, answering phones, not realizing, oh, there's a big influx of web form leads or something. So I was hoping that there would be a little bit more debate, but uh, I guess I'm comforted by that. But you also mentioned this felt a little bit nuanced to you. So I'm curious, what about, like, were there any of these things when you're writing them down that felt uncertain or like had some caveats to them?
Not necessarily. It's almost like um it sounded like one of those very basic things that you can ask someone, and then when you go to answer it, it's like suddenly very quickly a Russian nesting doll type situation where it's like, we need this in order to get to this, to get to this, to get to this, So I
Yep.
was like, that's why, I kind of stormed ahead with the brand strategy element 'cause it's like, you know, that's all of your messaging and that's knowing who your customers are and that's knowing how you represent, yourself across a variety of mediums, is that the omni-channel presence? Is it not? But at the end of the day, it shouldn't feel different. It should feel cohesive. And so having confidence and conviction in that makes entering into something dynamic and oftentimes pretty complex and easy to start, pointing fingers as paid because that's a hard one where if if people think that paid is going to be your, be all end all, but you haven't done all of that work necessary, those one, two, three things,
Hmm.
um, everybody's going to have some issues.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been talking about it as like like you have a fire going and you want to make it much, much bigger. So you have gas ready to pour on the fire. But if you like, you don't have enough infrastructure, you don't have enough, like, you just have the little sticks on there and a little flame. And if you dump gas on that, you're going to like burn through it and then there's nothing left. Like you need some infrastructure and you need sort of a self-sustaining fire before you say, okay, I'm ready to take this to the next level now. Um, so in the brand strategy piece, is that also developing content? Is that figuring out like how do I talk to these people, or is it more the exercise of just identifying who they are, what message will resonate with them, like what you want to focus on before figuring out, okay, how are we going to tackle that?
As a company or as a brand, it's who are we? Who do we serve? And how do we serve them?
Mm,
Right. So those are the 3 legs of the stool, and then once you have that information, that's, okay, how do we speak to them? Where are they at? Where are they most active? How are they spending their money? What are they interested in? And so then you can start to percolate out that way and find different ways to approach them, because a lot of in my background, I haven't been able to be as direct. So, cold calling or paid, honestly, or, some of those other tactics where it's pretty cut and dry that it's, this is a pitch or this is a sale that's right in front of you. I've had
mhm.
to go around that's creative partnerships or working with influencers, which at this point is pretty much in that same, same realm. People
We
are
all
tired
know.
of influencers. Yeah.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
or geofencing or things that just get a little more unique, and so that's what I start with, so that those more concrete pieces um, are easier, I guess. But that way, you already know the set of rules that you might break going forward, instead of trying to write the rule book as you go along.
Yeah. Does this feel different? I mean, it obviously feels different working with your sort of family's company coming in from working with some other brands. One of the things I found is we work with a variety of companies. Some of them are big, huge budgets, lots of cash to burn, and then some of them are like bootstrap SaaS founders who are, I'm betting everything on this. And there's something about it feeling much more personal that makes it harder to be objective about the risk. Like you need to take risks. You need to be able to take calculated risks with paid digital, and it needs to be informed. It needs to, not be, I had this random idea, like there has to be something behind it. But at the end of the day, it's a game of poker and you're just trying to stay alive through your bad hands until you get a good hand and you can really, go big on that one. I don't play poker. I assume this is how this works. Um, but how has that dynamic changed, or has it changed going to thinking about marketing something that's much more personal to you?
The bar is almost non-existent. And I found this at the last company and actually at the company before that. So I've been in some interesting situations where there's not anything necessarily already in place that I have to kick to the side in order to establish something new. It's starting from the ground floor from a marketing or advertising perspective. I mean, almost day one. So yes, we have a presence in the market. We have, a book of business. We have people that refer us. We have a lot of photos and assets on the very tactical level. But as far as developing a campaign or doing anything like that, there's not much pushback. It's kind of it's blue sky for me. As it like I said, as it was at the last one, which the last company I was at, my best friend from college started that one. And so similar situation where heading into that company, I was like, I don't know, is that close, more intimate dynamic going to impact the way that we can work together? And what I found with working at Ethos and with my friend Blair, that strengthened our friendship. So I'm
Mm.
curious to see, that healthy friction, is the word that you used earlier, but um
Healthy conflict, healthy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It pushes both of us, to be better, to be able to stand on our business stronger because we will challenge each other or at least flag, when something feels like, are you just doing this because that's the way you've always done it? Or is this, too flashy, fun and modern? Where are we at? So that's been kind of cool to see. But, again, it's only been a month. So we've got a lot of things to feel out.
Yeah. All right. Well, Brandon, let's go ahead and wrap up there. Thanks for playing this game with me and for sharing a bit about your journey at Retrochem. Wishing you a successful second month there. Listeners, if you want to learn more about Retrochem and Brandon, details will be in the show notes. Brandon, thank you so much for joining me today on Data Planet.
Thanks, Emma.